Can you all see me and hear me? Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Janet Aramita here at Oklahoma Central. I am our Financial Development Officer. And today I also have Leah Bowles. She is our Director of Communication, and she is going to be working the chat box for us for any questions we may have. We're going to go ahead and just sit and wait while others attend. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we will be back with you in just a few moments. Thank you so much for joining us today with our webinar here at Oklahoma Central. In just a few moments, we will begin. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon here at Oklahoma Central for our webinar on Steps to Financial Freedom. My name is Janet Aramita, and I'm our Financial Development Officer here at Oklahoma Central Credit Union. Today, I have Leah Bowles. She is our Director of Community Engagement. She will be working our chat box today, so if you have any questions at all during the webinar, please don't hesitate to go ahead and put your question in the chat box. We will get back with you with the answer within 24 hours. And if it's a question that several people have of the same, Leah will just interrupt and let us know so we can just answer the question while we're here today. Also, if you have any questions at all after this gets done, please don't hesitate to reach out via email or any of those types of things. And thank you so much again for joining us today. We will go ahead and get started. Now, steps to financial freedom, how to set our financial goals. One of the things that we need to know first in setting financial goals is we need to understand our money personality and what type of a spender are we. So one of the things that we want to look at is where do we fit in? Are we a hoarder, which we like to save and budget and prioritize? Are we a spender where we like to spend a lot? Or are you a planner where you're like planning of the nitty gritty, take it one step at a time? Or a dreamer, which is a dreamer which hashes passion schemes but has no idea how to make them come true? Or are we a merger? The merger wants to pull all of the couple's money together. Or do you like to keep everything separate, his and hers? Or are we a risk taker and we love adventure and investing? Or do we like to be a risk avoider where we're like, nope, we're not going to do that. I don't want to take any chances at all with my money. Once we figure out where we fit in, that will help us a lot more be able to prioritize for our saving and our spending and how we like to do with our budget. Now we look at here for our money personality, what we were talking about. Some of the things that you can do in your spare time is list the products and services that you spend your money on. That's a really easy way to see where a lot of your money will go. They also have spending apps, different financial institutions do, where you can look at it and spend. I laugh and joke that all of my paycheck goes to Walmart and Target for groceries and necessities. We can also look at ways that we're a good spender, where we know we're saving money, we're paying our mortgage on time, we're making different types of investments on. Those are good ways to be spending our money. And also, it's a good thing to look at, list the changes that we would like to make in our spending habits. Would we like to save more? Would we like to be able to tell that we have more at the end of a month or a quarter or at the end of a year? Now, here we are on setting our goals, and this is so important for us when we get to budgeting and looking at ways to be able to save money. We want to start with our SMART goals, and that's a specific goal. It's measurable, attainable, relevant, and a timely goal. And this is so important to know when we're setting our goals that we have a specific goal that we're setting for. We're not setting ourselves up for failure when we're measuring on it. When we're looking at the attainability for it, we want to make sure we're just giving ourselves all of the bonuses that we need to be giving and not setting ourselves up for failure. Now, what are our goals? If we don't know where we're going, any road will get you there. Some of the things we need to look at, and each person's goals are going to be different. A short-term goal is a year is 1 month to 24 months, 2 years. Some people can look at that as a way to pay down their debt or increase their savings. A midterm goal could be 2 to 5 years. We could be thinking about taking that dream vacation or buying that dream vehicle that's going to take a little bit more for a down payment. Or we could be looking at a long-term goal of 5 years or more. Some people would look at purchasing your home as a long-term goal. Some would look at retirement, depending on where we are in our age of what is our long-term goal. So in knowing for the setup of how long it is that we want to take to obtain our goals, it's very important that we make sure that we set them in a timely manner for ourselves. Now that we know about goals, let's talk a little bit about budgeting. 4 rules to budgeting. One of the things we need to mainly remember is do not worry about perfection. I like to compare budgeting to our gym memberships. At the beginning of the year, we all want to get fit, we want to get healthy, we want to just make sure we've got that perfect gym schedule worked out. One of the things we also need to look at is the big stuff makes more of a difference than the small stuff. Making plans based on real life and not how we wish life would be. And also we want to make sure that we're keeping it simple. And we're talked about make plans based on our real life and not how we wish life would be. That's where in our current situation and what we have going on presently, not that we're applying for a new job or we're counting on a raise that's going to come in or we're looking at overtime. We want to make sure that we're being realistic and honest with ourselves. Some of the ways that we can do this is by looking at our income. We want to make sure that our holdings are correct, that we have our employer taking out. That's one of the worst things is to have a lot of withholdings out of it and then realize when it comes tax time that we actually owe the IRS money. We want to look at being conservative with non-guaranteed income, which that can be overtime, bonuses, fluctuating income, commissions, and seasonal. Several of the things that we want to look at is a lot of companies will offer overtime, and some of the times when they stop offering overtime, it's very abrupt and employees aren't aware of it until it happens. So we want to make sure when we're looking at our budget for it, we're actually looking at exactly the hours that we're going to be working and not count on overtime. Our overtime is just some extra for us if we're able to get those hours. Also, bonuses are not guaranteed. So we want to make sure when we're planning out our budget that we're not counting on an end of year bonus or a midterm bonus. That's one of the worst things I can hear people talking about is when they're waiting on bonuses to come in and they've actually figured that into their budgeting and their planning, and then a bonus does not come. So on those, we're setting ourselves up for failure, and we want to be careful on that. We also want to be careful when it comes to fluctuating income, whether it be that we only work 20 hours a week or 35 hours a week. We want to make sure that we're very careful with that. And commissions, those are not always guaranteed. So we need to be careful when we're looking at that. And one of the worst things that I've heard people tell me when I've done workshops is for seasonal work, where they plan on each year working at the fair, they plan on each year going into a retailer to work, and things happen to change within those companies and dynamics, and they're no longer offering for seasonal help. So we want to make sure that we really pay attention to that. What we need to look at as well is our recommended monthly expenses. We want to make sure we're paying our mortgage on time, our rent on time. We have to have food to be able to eat. We want to make sure that we're staying on top of our debt. And we also want to make sure that we're saving and paying ourselves. Some of the things that we need to look at are savings and goals. On our savings, are we saving for retirement? If you work for a company that offers you a 401k with the free match, regardless of what the percentage is, we want to make sure we're taking advantage of that and not just leaving free money out on the table. We also need to look at our investments that we're making and work with our investment person that the investments that we have in are actually making us the most money for our money. And we need to make sure that we have an emergency fund, especially in this day and age with how the economy is going and different things. We need to make sure that we've got some money set back just in case if something should happen, we'll be okay. And I have a lot of people tell me, well, Jana, I can't set money back right now. We are living paycheck to paycheck. If you're able to just set back $25 a week, if you get paid weekly, or $50 every 2 weeks, or $100 every month, at the end of the year, you'll have $1,200, and we can look at different ways on how much we can set back to be able to look at our emergency fund to get it to where we would like it. And we also need to remember our goals. Is this a short-term goal? Is it 1 to 24 months, or is it 2 to 5 years, or is it a long-term goal that's 5 years or longer? That's very important for us to decide which categories those would fall into. We also need to look at adding in gifts and celebrations. This is something that sometimes gets put on the back burner and we forget about it until the last minute. I know for me in my house, for birthdays, July is a very expensive month for me and lots of birthdays and celebrations going on. We need to look at when we know we have an upcoming wedding to attend or a shower, that we've got money set back for those gifts, or a baby shower, or as we're coming up on the holidays. That's one of the biggest complaints and dreads that I hear people talking about is I just don't have the money for the holidays. I also want to make sure we've set back for anniversaries or just those just because gifts that we like to give people sometime, and making sure that we have enough budgeted. One of the things too, just because we're budgeting does not mean we have to stop living, and it doesn't mean we don't get to enjoy things in life and keep enjoying our hobbies that we like to do and things like that. So we definitely want to look at our leisurely things that we like to do that are non-vacation, whether we have downloading books on Audible or we're buying books, magazines, we like to go to the movies, different things like that. We want to make sure that we're accounting for and just putting so much aside so that we're able to do that. Also, if we have hobbies that we like to do that cost a lot of money, like I know scrapbooking is a big one for a lot of people, and those can get expensive on doing that. And also, if we like to just do tourist attractions, one of the big things that we can do is here in Tulsa, we have it to where we can go to our city's website and see the different free things that we offer in our community for individuals and families to be able to do. And if we know that we have a vacation coming up that we're wanting to save for, whether it be a day trip to something or we're going to go stay overnight, we want to make sure we're adding those things in so we're able to enjoy that as well. We don't want to be working and budgeting just to be only saving our money. We have to enjoy life as well. We also want to look at if we like to give to charities or religious contributions, also pet care. For those of us that have fur babies, we know how expensive that they can be. Dog food is even going up right now with all the things going up and supply. And then veterinarians, where our fur babies get sick and we have to take them in. One of the things I'll hear people say is, oh, I just got a new animal. And then a few weeks later, they're, oh, that was a $500 vet bill I wasn't planning on. So those are just things that we can look at for future needs and planning to make sure that we have them taken care of and we're not spreading ourselves out thinly or anything like that. We also want to take a look here at our banking. We want to make sure that we're not paying for our checking account. Everywhere now has checking accounts that do not have service fees accommodated with them, and we don't want to have to pay someone to be able to keep our money in their financial institution. We want to look at the fees that we could possibly get charged, because if the overdraft fee happens, if we have more than one item come through, by the time those fees end up coming through, you could be looking at $200 in charges that we weren't even expecting. So we want to make sure that we're being able to pay attention to those things. We want to check with our financial institutions and make sure there's not a minimum balance that we need to be keeping into our account. We want to make sure on our ATM fees that we're using the ATMs that are actually free to us. And one of the things right now that we're really talking about and that a lot of people are looking at is we're looking at ways that we can save money with our money. You want to look into see for financial institutions that offer give backs for having your accounts with them and spending money with them. Each time that you use your debit card or your credit card, that's something big to be looking into right now and reaching out to those credit card companies and asking them, what are your perks for this? I pay my credit card on time. I've been with you for a long time. These are the things that we really need to be looking into right now. That's free money that we're just leaving out on the table. And we want to make sure that we're taking advantage of that. Here's some action items and some things we want to look at on ways to increase our income. Can we look at asking for overtime for work? Could we possibly look at taking on a part-time job? Could we do a thing of better pay? If you know a lot of things have changed in your role as you've taken on a position, sit down and talk with your employer about why you deserve a raise, the reasons of the different things that you've taken on for that. And in today's age, one of the nice things we have is how we can sell things. We have Marketplace so available to us. We have different apps that are available to be able to go through our closet and our homes and look at things that we're no longer using, that we've possibly outgrown, our kids have outgrown. Ways to be able to make money on selling our old goods. That's also a big thing right now. And people are looking for gently used things and how to be able to save money. We want to look at ways that we can decrease our spending. Like, how could we do that? Can we reduce things, substitute things, postpone, or forego? A lot of times on our spending, we can look at reducing on our food bill. Start looking at whenever you do your grocery shopping, do you have items in your refrigerator that you're having to throw away each week or every 2 weeks? Do we have things in the pantry that we're having to throw out because we haven't been able to use them before they expired? Those are some of the ways that we can look at reducing our grocery bill and on how our spending is. Or are there things that we can substitute for it that would be a less expense for us and be able to save us money? Or is it something that we can look at and see, well, if I waited a few weeks for this, or if I waited a couple of months for this? I know for me, when I look at things on can I postpone or forego, when I get to that top part of it, a lot of the time it's something that I am able to just be able to postpone or forego, because we do not want to forget our goals as we're going along with this. We also need to look at what can be some of our budget busters sometimes. Like, do I need it now? Would it be okay? What exactly would happen if I didn't have it? We need to know our weaknesses and look at the different things of asking ourselves. 3 questions I ask myself before I do a big purchase that wasn't necessarily a necessity is, do I need it? Do I need it now? And what would happen if I didn't have it? Usually when we ask ourselves those questions and get to that, we can be honest with ourselves that a lot of the time that is a big ticketed item that we actually could go ahead and wait on. Or I'll even have people ask me, well, I love to stop at Starbucks in the mornings for coffee. That's another way that we're able to save money. I used to stop at Starbucks every day on my way to work for coffee. And I decided just to sit down to see how much am I actually spending here. And when I realized I was spending well over $100 a month, I started looking at ways to be able to cut my expenses like that and to forego eating out sometimes. So now when I go to the grocery store, I buy different flavors of coffee, different flavors of creamer, but I still treat myself to Starbucks once a week because that's something that I enjoy. You don't have to completely cut things out. We can still enjoy those luxury things. Like I tell my kids all the time, you don't have to go to Quick Trip every day to grab that Dr. Pepper after work or when you get out of school. It can be something that you buy those things at the grocery store, you keep them in your car to have, and it be a treat for yourself every week or every 2 weeks, that it's not something that you're expecting to be able to do. We get to where we're treating ourselves for it. We also want to make sure that we stay motivated, just like with our gym membership. Some people will have their visual success with their boards on it, or they have a picture up on their refrigerator of this is the goal I would like to get to, whether it be losing weight, getting healthy, looking to buy a new house, buy a new car. Those are things that can help us a lot to stay visual on our success, to realize, yes, this is what we're working towards. We also want to make sure that we stay organized in when we're budgeting and setting up for our goals. We want to make sure that we're monitoring our progress. One of the things that we can do is set a reminder every 3 months in our calendar to check and see if we're paying down credit card debt. Send a reminder to yourself to look to average up how much have you saved over the last 3 months and paying it off. Are we trying to save for that emergency fund? How much money were we able to put back? It is really important that we celebrate our successes and we reward ourselves along the way. And when we set reminders, whether it be a 30-day, 60-day, and 90-day, however it is that's going to work best for you, celebrate your progress as you're going on. And one of the big things that we need to do as well is we need to expect setbacks. It's not going to be perfect. We're going to have setbacks. We're going to have things happen that we weren't anticipating to happen. We are going to have different, as we call it, life emergencies that come up. So no, there's going to be setbacks as we're doing this, and it's not going to be a smooth ride all the time. But once we get to where we are at, where we're secure financially and we feel better about things, those setbacks aren't as big a deal as we move on through this process as what they are in the beginning. Also, please don't forget we have Leah working our chat box. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to ask those in there. Now, some of the things that we can look at are, what are we doing now? What is it that we can do today? What can we do within 3 months? And what can we do within this year? Like I was talking about, to set a reminder in our calendar, we can draw up a milestone calendar and setting our goals for within this many months I want to be here, within this many days I would like to be here. I know for me, I decided 2 years ago in October, I do not want to have any more credit card debt. So I started working on very aggressively paying down my credit card debt. And what a difference it made. It took over a year, but once I was able to get everything paid down and paid off, just the financial freedom that you're able to have in that is just absolutely amazing. And you're able to save more in your emergency fund for when things should happen. We also want to look at remembering that a budget is a springboard to our financial independence. It's not putting strains on us that no, we're not allowed to spend any more of our money. It's showing us these are our goals, this is what we're working towards, and this is why we're saving our money and putting money back. And we also need to remember to have patience with ourselves. Success does not happen overnight, but it happens over time. Just like with our gym membership, if we're trying to get healthy, we didn't get unhealthy overnight. It took time, sometimes weeks, months, or years to get to where we're at. So it's just the same with our finances as we're working for these things to get out of it and start being able to save. It's going to take time. It did not happen overnight, and we just need to be patient with ourselves. If you all have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're happy to answer them. We actually got done with the webinar sooner than what we were expecting today. So we look forward to hearing back from all of you, and thank you today for joining in. We are so sorry that we had to reschedule this a couple of times, but we look forward to hearing your feedback, and we look forward to seeing you again after the first of the year when we start our webinars again. Thank you so much for joining us today.